Okay, so let me just ask you this. If we could give you a gift today, an extra hour, just hand it to you, suddenly you have 25 hours in your day, would you actually be more successful?
Or just
Or would you just find yourself tired for 1 hour longer?
that is the ultimate question, isn't it? Because our sources this week, they drop a major bomb on this whole modern obsession with productivity.
Right.
We spend all our time, chasing calendars, scheduling everything down to the minute.
Trying to squeeze more in?
Exactly. But they argue we are just completely obsessed with the wrong currency.
Okay, let's unpack that immediately. Because the mission of this deep dive, I think, is to really debunk that focus on time management.
Yeah.
It feels like we've been lied to. Time, I mean, as a unit of measurement, it's static. It's not the currency of high performance.
Absolutely not. The core thesis across all of these sources is that, well, time is fixed, it's a constant. But energy is the variable that truly determines your output. You can have all the time in the world, but if you're mentally foggy, if you're burned out, exhausted, that time is basically worthless.
You're trying to sprint with, like, mental concrete boots on.
Exactly. And the inverse is what's so shocking.
Right.
If you're operating at peak energy, physically, cognitively, you can get an 8-hour task done in maybe 2 hours.
The time didn't change at all. But your capacity, your ability to act did.
And think about the analogy they use. It's so powerful. Your smartphone. You might have the latest model, fastest processor, running all these sophisticated high-performance apps.
Ready to take on the world.
Yeah, but if you look down and that little battery icon is red and it's sitting at 1%, all that potential, all that power is completely useless.
The whole system just goes dark.
Right. And we are trying to run our own high-performance lives, our careers, our families, our learning on human batteries that, frankly, haven't been properly charged in years.
So we've got this massive disconnect. And it seems to come from a really basic misunderstanding of, what? Our own biology.
That's it. We treat ourselves like machines, expecting this limitless output just because the clock says we still have time left.
Which leads to what the sources call the gas tank model of energy, right?
Yeah, that's the big mistake. We think, you fill up the tank overnight with a good sleep. That's your one big fuel up.
And then you just drive.
You drive all day until the gauge hits empty. Then you crash, you stop, and you refuel again.
That sounds logical on the surface, but we all know it's failing us. It leads to burnout. So what's the model they're pointing to instead?
They state really clearly that human energy is, it's more like a battery that requires constant microcharging all day long.
Microcharging.
Not just one big overnight fill-up. The point is, if you wait until you feel exhausted, until that tank feels empty, you've already lost the game for that day.
That's a huge shift in thinking.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to preserve one big reserve of energy. We're managing, like, continuous renewal cycles.
Precisely. And the science behind this is something called ultradian rhythms.
Okay, you have to explain this, because that 90 to 120-minute rule, it sounds a little arbitrary if you don't know the context.
It's anything but. It's a fundamental biological reality. We all go through these cycles.
Yeah.
You have these periods of high-frequency brain activity, that's your focus, your concentration, and they are always followed by a dip, a period of lower frequency activity where the brain naturally needs to reset.
But why that specific window? 90 to 120 minutes.
Because that's about how long it takes for your prefrontal cortex, the part that does all the heavy lifting.
The thinking part.
The thinking part, yeah.
Yeah.
Analysis, deep work. That's how long it takes to burn through its immediate supply of glucose and neurotransmitters. The brain literally has to switch gears to replenish those things. So when you hit that 90-minute mark, your body isn't just bored, it's sending a real biochemical signal. It's saying, I need a break to keep working.
And what do most of us do in that exact moment, when the focus slips and you find yourself just staring at the screen?
We make the worst mistake. We try to push through the wall. We confuse a biological need for, like, a lack of willpower.
Yeah.
So you grab another coffee, you force your eyes back to the screen, you power through.
And the Sources has such a great phrase for this. They call it borrowing energy from tomorrow to pay for today.
And that loan, it comes with an incredibly high interest rate. It's not just debt, it's compounding debt. That borrowed energy is exactly why that 3.0 p.m. crash feels so inevitable and so brutal. It leaves you totally useless for the last 2 hours of your day.
But the debt doesn't just stop at 5:00 p.m., does it?
No, that's when the real interest comes due. It's why you get home at 7 p.m. and you're irritable, you're short-tempered with your family.
You have no patience left.
None. You used up all of tomorrow's emotional fuel just to survive an afternoon meeting today. You've literally degraded the quality of your personal life for a tiny, often low-quality boost at work.
So if pushing through is the wrong answer, the solution has to be what? A complete overhaul. We have to stop managing minutes
Which are fixed.
and start managing our states, our physical and mental states, which we can control.
That's it. And to learn how, we have to look at the people who do this for a living.
Yeah.
Professional athletes.
Right. This analogy, I have to say, it completely changed how I think about my workday. We have to stop thinking like a marathon runner,
And start thinking like a sprinter.
like explosive, managed sprints.
Think about a top tennis player. They might play for 4 hours, but they are not playing 4 hours straight.
No.
They play a 10-second point maximum intensity total output, and that point is immediately followed by a 20-second recovery ritual. Every time.
They walk to the baseline, they towel off, they breathe, they sip water, they're resetting.
They are managing their energy between every single point. The goal is that the last point of the match is just as explosive and focused as the first. Recovery isn't optional.
And here's the brutal part for all of us listening. We are playing this high-stakes game of business or parenting or whatever it is without taking a single break between points.
Yeah.
We run from a hard phone call right into a detailed report, and we only stop when the whole system just collapses on us.
Recovery isn't some luxury you earn at the end of the week. It has to be a non-negotiable part of the job description for your day.
So how do we actually do this? What's the protocol the sources recommend to get that athletic-style recovery?
The system they lay out is called the 50-10 pulse.
50-10.
The rule is simple, and it's designed to respect that biological rhythm. For every 50 minutes of intense, focused work.
Heads down, no distractions.
Right. You must take a mandatory 10-minute regeneration break.
50 minutes of deep work, 10 minutes of real recovery. Okay, I have to challenge this because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, stopping mid-flow, mid-sentence, doesn't that kill your momentum?
That's the mental barrier you have to break. You're not breaking your flow. You are preserving the quality of your next flow state. That little disruption from the break is so much less damaging than the huge cognitive cost of pushing past that 90-minute wall. If you respect the pulse, those 50 minutes are higher quality than 90 minutes of just forcing it.
So the 50 minutes become more valuable than 120.
Exactly. But, and this is the crucial catch, the rules for that 10-minute break are absolute. You cannot cheat.
Okay, define cheating. Because for most people, a break means swapping the work screen for the social media screen.
That is the #1 form of cheating, and the sources are so strict about this. The break cannot be scrolling social media, checking personal email, reading the news.
Nothing with the screen.
Nothing, because looking at a screen is just another kind of cognitive stimulation. You're just swapping one battery drainer for another. Your brain needs to disengage from input, not just change the input type.
It has to be a physical state change, something that actually releases that cognitive load.
Yes. A true break requires a few mandatory actions. You have to physically stand up and walk away from your desk.
Get away from the scene of the crime.
Right. Drink water. Do some deep breathing, like box breathing is amazing for this. Or just close your eyes and let your mind wander. No input.
And if you do this, the promise is radical. You'll still have the energy at 5:00 p.m. that you had at 9:00 a.m.
That is the goal.
Which means you're not a zombie on the couch at night. You have fuel left for your hobbies, for your family, for your life.
That is the definition of sustainable high performance. Which brings us to the second big energy drain. The one that works in the background. The sources call them energy vampires.
Energy vampires.
Okay.
We usually think of those as, people.
Toxic people, right. But in this context, it's much broader. They're internal.
Yeah.
They're defined as any unmade decision, any unresolved conflict, or any task that's still unfinished in your mind. Every single one of those acts as a background app on your phone.
Just slowly, quietly draining your battery.
Exactly. You don't even consciously notice the power leakage, but it's happening all day long.
That makes so much sense. So that messy pile of papers on my desk is a vampire.
It is.
The fact I need to schedule a dentist appointment but keep putting it off?
That's a huge vampire. That big decision about a project that's been sitting in limbo for a wreck, all of them are just passively consuming your mental energy.
They are. And there's a known psychological principle for this, isn't there?
Yeah, the Zeigarnik effect. It shows that our brains place this huge cognitive overhead on unfinished tasks.
It just keeps reminding you.
It keeps reminding you. Your mind is constantly spending energy just to maintain the status of that open loop.
So that 15-minute phone call I keep avoiding is actively draining my ability to do my most important work right now.
Absolutely. And this is why we've talked about the power of action before in another deep dive. The cost of not deciding is almost always higher than the cost of a wrong decision.
The power of closure.
That's it. Closing those open loops is how you release that trapped cognitive energy. Even if a decision turns out to be suboptimal later, making the decision now stops the battery drain.
So the goal isn't perfection. The first priority is just stopping the mental leakage that indecision creates.
That is the key insight. You can have all the productivity knowledge in the world, but if you're fighting open loops and ignoring your biology, you'll never hit that peak state.
You'll just be trying to drive the fastest car in the world with a half-dead battery.
Exactly.
So this all boils down to one thing. We said, stop managing your time. You can't control it.
Right.
The real takeaway is start managing your energy. That's the variable you can control, and it's the only path to high output.
So if you leave this deep dive with anything, it should be 2 concrete challenges.
Okay, let's lay them out for you. Challenge number 1, implement the 50-10 pulse.
Yeah.
This week, set a timer, and when it goes off, you stop.
Even mid-sentence.
Mid-sentence.
Yeah.
Get up, change your state, and no cheating with the phone. This week, recovery is your work.
And the second challenge, identify and eliminate one energy vampire. Close one open loop.
Okay.
That could be finally cleaning that messy room that stresses you out. It could be having that tough conversation, or just finally doing that one dreaded task you've been avoiding for months.
Go do the uncomfortable thing to stop the passive drain. Because at the end of the day, if we gave you that 25th hour, you now know how to use it. Not by working, but by recharging. Making the other 24 hours more valuable. High performance isn't about working longer.
It's about recovering smarter.
And more frequently.